No problem. Dobbo, if we can just maybe start with the team selection. The changes we got, Warwick coming in, obviously, then the midfield switch, all new front row, and Villy in place of Evan. Maybe if you can just run through those and the rationale behind
Yeah,
it.
I think so. Starting with the midfield change, what was there? Was well, we just thought we got Warwick back, who won Sash on the field. He's probably better up in 10, 12. So yeah, that was almost planned. We just didn't want to, having lost Damien, like I said, the game against the Lions, we didn't want to lose Warwick as well. Like the Oaks remain 15s. So, but Sash on the field, so that's the change there. Front row we're just literally really pleased with Brock France and Joe, especially last week. Probably our number one front row at the moment. But it gives us a hell of a good, also does give us a really strong scrumming sort of second reserve front row as well. I mean, it's largely rotational, but I think the way Brocky's going, Joe's going at the moment, they matched a difference last week. And Evan is a disappointment in a sense, well, obviously disappointment. It was a sort of freak knock at training. Concussed, he's been immense over this week, but from adversity comes opportunity. And a guy like Villy, I'm really thrilled for him because he's had a tough season. The way that guys have been playing, because we put ourselves under pressure from that tour in terms of results. We haven't done the sort of as much rotating as we'd like. So it's a great opportunity for Villy.
Okay. And then high summer in Glasgow. I see you got the rain jacket on. What are the conditions like?
Here it's cold. This is
Yeah,
Africa.
yeah.
It's probably
Typical summer weather.
This is if you work it out logically, if February's our high summer, and that's August is there. This is December for them. Yeah,
No, it's not.
silly.
Rocky, how was the captain's run on the 4G? Did it go well?
No, it was good. Yeah, the surface is good. Yeah, so no, yeah, we played in Connacht, so yeah, everybody's used to it. So it's not going to be an issue tomorrow.
Yeah, we've had obviously we said we've had 6 playoff games in this competition over the last 2 seasons. What's the mindset like for the first ever away playoff?
No, I think yeah, from a team point of view, it's yeah, we need to do what we need to do. In terms of we're not going to change everything. Yeah, it's sticking to like the rugby we've been playing to get us here. So that's probably the biggest mindset with all the travel and stuff is just to focus on ourselves.
Okay, nice one. Nathan's got his hand up, so we'll go to him. Yes, Nathan.
Thank you, Mike. Can you guys hear me? There's a bit of a
Like, you know,
Yep.
right, perfect. Guys, good day. Dobbo, the assistant coach of Glasgow said that he was Coach Nigel Carolyn. Said they were targeting Mani. If you and I quote, he said, if you can quiet him and get him off his game, they don't function as well. I mean, what are your thoughts to that statement?
yeah, I suppose it's pretty obvious. Trying like he's potentially a world class flyer, does a lot for our game. I suppose we'd also have a look at trying to throw him out of his stride. So quite sure how you do it. We very much a team that's self-focused and trying to get better ourselves. Can't actually remember the last time we sort of maybe Botia against La Rochelle where we sort of single out an opponent no, so it's not. Yeah, so look, I mean, I presume the only way how do you throw him off his game? Try and make him tackle. I promise you that they'll be unpleasantly surprised because Marnie's defense is really good. I'm not sure how you always create that situation, and yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll give Marnie Lubbock for, and I think we've all seen it over the years, he doesn't get rattled. He can miss 1 or 2 kicks, then he kicks one from the corner to win us a semi-final or whatever the story is. Marnie's not it's one of his great strengths as a player. So yeah, look, I mean, I understand the tactic. As long as it's legal, I'm sure it will be. Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Dobbo, there's this
Hi,
underdogs. Oh, sorry, Mike.
crack on, Nathan. Sorry, I thought you were done. Go for
Oh,
it.
sorry, I've got a couple of questions, Mike.
Of course.
Dobbo, you do have that underdogs tag. In a way, is it do you feel there's less pressure on you guys, or you guys comfortable with the underdogs tag?
I saw the URC, Rita just sent me the URC win predictor or something, and Glasgow 78 and we 22. which we certainly don't feel. I mean, I suppose we're underdogs because teams tend to win their playoffs at home. But we don't feel like 78-20. We don't feel like Glasgow have 4 times the chance of winning that we have. So, but we're comfortable. I think we're in a really good space. I don't think we're paying any attention to that. It's an important part for our growth to play an away quarter. We'll be better off for this, whatever happens tomorrow, but we'll be desperately disappointed if we finish our journey tomorrow. Make no mistake. And I just feel like despite all the disruptions of the week, despite, I think, Dion and Damien both played in World Cup finals. Evan Rose has probably been outstanding for a while now. I could carry on Zassi or Sibela or Ruan. Doesn't matter. There's a really confident, excited feeling in this camp.
Brocky, you guys got a tournament high of 49 scrum penalties. On a forward's point of view, what are you expecting from Glasgow this weekend?
Yeah, obviously the old saying is the game will be won up front. So it will be. Glasgow's got a strong scrum. With Ferguson, he's a British Lions, so we're expecting, and they compete well on our lineout. So we're expecting a massive game tomorrow in terms of the set piece.
And then finally, one question for now, and then I'll stop for a bit. Dobbo, I remember Gavin asked you in the beginning of the week if Warwick is okay to play, and your response was, who knows? But how has Warwick looked in training this week?
No, listen, that was a complete joke. I was joking about Warwick being it's an in-joke amongst the team. Warwick tells us he really manages himself very, very well. No, he's trained. I think one thing that's changed about a lot about Warwick from when he came to the Bulls, and then it's changed a lot from when he was with us in the first URC season to now, his training hours. So, he was a guy when his knees started flaring up, understanding he got down to just, maybe one session a week in captains. Now he's on the field all the time, and he's all the time this week. So, he's fine.
Well, Nathan, thanks. We look forward to round 2. Next is Jan.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, John. Thanks, Brooke. John, obviously, the record says for itself. I mean, you've never won there. They've never won at Cape Town. Do you expect anything different from them tomorrow, or what can you expect from them?
I don't think they're going to change a winning formula. I mean, they've got on top of us in both those 2 games in Glasgow. We know that they'll try. We planned around them. Trying to beat our sort of line speed. Whether that's by little things over the top. We made a few plans around that. Or trying to get around us. So that's been a big thing. I mean, they're a really good attacking team, play a very attractive brand of rugby. Franco's always done that. So we're aware of the attacking threats. Another element which was certainly pertinent to the game we played there in November is if we give away penalties and we casual in our maul defense, they can do a lot of damage. So very key areas those are the 2 areas that we're aware of. There's sort of attacking threat. I mean, it's a absolutely Scotland-laden team. Scotland-laden, the best centres in Scotland. The 2, what's it called, Hugh Piloto, whatever they call that combination. So massive attacking threat, and even a threat when it comes to line up to maul as well. And international props across the board. So big threat.
Brock, you in your 6-7 years in Wales, I mean, you obviously played a lot of games against the Glasgow. Where would you rate this team in terms of Glasgow teams you faced?
Yeah, no, I think they're up there, especially with Franco coming in and playing this expansive game and bringing their set piece into play. They were all traditionally always a good mauling and scrumming side, so but not at much attack. So with Franco coming in and just improving the attack, so it's probably one of the best Glasgow teams we'll face.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Jan.
Thanks, Jan. Next is Stephen.
Thanks very much. Dara, you mentioned Upoilotu now, or however I pronounce it. Do you think it's great for a guy like Sasha to come into a game like this and have that kind of class of opponent across him for him as a young player?
Yes, Stephen. It's probably the next step in Sasha's growth is to get him on the field, keep him on the field, and keep challenging him. You know, he's had a couple of false starts with the injuries. So this will be a high level, a very, very high level for him tomorrow. So it's a nice step in his growth. Luckily, he's with his firm friend and mentor and bosom buddy and Dan Duplessis. Those two are very close, and I think it'll be a very good experience for Sasha because of that.
Is that centre pairing? Is that the biggest threat that you see in the Glasgow team?
Look, Tupelotta gives a lot of go forward. You know, he's perhaps a more, no, I must phrase that, but he's got some nice soft skills as well. You know, we had a similar thing in Connacht a while ago where Bandiaki gives a lot of tight go forward. We know Hugh well, but I think centre pairing on attack, because, you know, both, you know, I say Tupelotta's got soft skills. Hugh can really pass, something he probably learned a lot with us, you know, with Darby and them. But he's a great passer. So that is a threat, you know, Carl Steyn, all good. So, yeah, it's like I said to the answer to Jan, they're expansive style, which is brilliant, and some really good tricks up front. Those are threats.
And Hughes won a few. I think the one Currie Cup that he won with you, he was man of the match. So I mean, it's pretty. It's actually, if you look at a guy like him, I mean, he's real X factor, isn't he?
You.
Yeah.
On and off the field. No, he's great. No, we've got a fantastic relationship with Jonesy. But it's nice that since he's come here to Scotland and how well he's done for Scott. It's great to see. You know, a guy came over on a gap year, was just stooging at I can't remember which school it was, or Stellenbosch or Bishops or somewhere, and playing for False Bay under 20s. To be a sort of internationally acclaimed attacking centre, I think it's fantastic. He's a great bloke. We look forward to a beer with him afterwards.
Obviously, Evan is a huge loss. I think that's stating the obvious. You know, that try he scored against the Lions was like outrageous. You know, and obviously there's the breakdown issue. Obviously, Willie in his own right is a decent player, but in terms of what you're losing with Evan and the breakdown and the carries and so on, how do you see the team somehow getting that into their game in the quarter?
Looking at, I could give you the sort of vanilla answer that everybody wants, that the team wants to say, you know, it's not a big loss or whatever, but it's palpably is a big loss. The way he's playing, the way he's carrying, the work he's doing on D, his involvements are through the roof. I think the move to 6 has been really good for him, and he's been really disciplined despite the provocation and that was one of our flashpoints here last year. Late last year on the tour when there were a couple of incidents. We went down to 30. I think Evan was one of them. Look, Willie's different, very different. He has got his enormous stopping power, and that's probably where he's a hard tackler, and that's a big factor on the 4G, not to take away their momentum. Really good at cleaning breakdowns as well. So important role of the 6 is our ball, that we help generate fast ball. He's not the classic stealer, but he can cause a lot of nuisance at the breakdown. It's it was a tight call between him and Marcel, but we thought Marcel, runner as the game opens up, his intensity and work rate would be useful, but we wanted Billy's physical presence. But he's had a tough season. He hasn't gone his way because the team's been under pressure. It's nice for him to get opportunity. If we get Billy, the Billy who won the Currie Cup final, so brilliantly for Griquas a couple of years ago, we're not going to feel the loss of Evan Riss. So just genuinely happy for Billy. I mean, sad, happy for Billy.
Donna, something that went down, in this while you were overseas, is this whole big issue of the arbitration around the Currie Cup. It's a very complicated scenario because obviously you've got this thing of the player rest, which is important. But now, if the Currie Cup goes ahead between July and September, that means you've got to literally next year. Take guys out of the URC. So it's practically impossible for the Currie Cup to go ahead now. So what are your thoughts on that whole thing? Because it leaves a lot of your players in limbo, and what do you see as the solution for that?
I don't know if I've got a solution. I mean, the player rest piece we completely get. Ideally we would have loved it to be individualized, completely, which is to me logical, where I make sure Brocky gets his 8 weeks, the 3 + 3 + 2, the 3 right off, the 3 sort of training and reconditioning and the 2 weeks with the team to get ready for contact. And because then you can plan and pull out guys, and I need to give 8 weeks to Brocky here, so we won't give Quenzo his 8 at the same time. And we actually did quite a lot of proactive resting over the last while of taking guys out of our training squad because we thought there might be something like this. But I'm not sure because we didn't get to the 8. We just did the 3-week block, whether they all have to be consecutive. And if they are, then we're in real trouble for the Currie Cup. I think it's really unfortunate that we're in this position. I mean, I think if you think we meant to play the Bulls on the 6th of July, I think is our opening game. And we've got no clue if that game's going ahead. We're coming to the end of a long season. If you think our player and maybe listen to coach welfare, this uncertainty is terrible. There's so many guys who want to play in the Currie Cup, like a guy like Wandi or Gary Porter or Sazi Sandi, or I'll give you a whole list, Lizo, who haven't played. They're chomping. That's their re-entry into playing for the Stormers and URC, and they're absolutely chomping. And I don't know how it goes ahead now, and I think it's an absolute tragedy. I think this could have been handled much better. I also would worry, are we acting in the interest of all the players of South Africa? Because I can't see it having anything but really devastating consequences for the so-called smaller unions like the Cheetahs, the Griquas, the Pumas. So I'm not sure what the solution is. It's way above my pay grade, and it is very hard to work out because you get where my players are coming from, but it's having a really tough effect, I reckon, down the line, especially if the tournament doesn't go ahead. I really would worry about what we're doing to the South African rugby ecosystem. Hopefully, Sensible will see the day. We'll get through this one, and we're given a bit of grace to catch up on the 8-week resting. We are going to have to pull some guys out of the 8 weeks because you can't have a guy resting for 8 weeks, playing Currie Cup, and then resting for 8 weeks if he's in the URC frame. So I think already the competitiveness of the tournament's under a lot of threat. If, we're going to. But hopefully, sorry, Steve, my solution will be the individualized resting and some extension for us to complete that rather than 1 July. Because if we have to start 8 weeks now on the 7th of June, then the Currie Cup's gone.
And then just from I think last year, we were often complaining of the Currie Cup being watered down and so on. But at the end of the day, it was very useful for you running with the European competition because you had this thing of everybody feeling that they're part of the squad, and then if you don't have a concurrent competition, then it almost feels maybe to some players if they're on the outside, so do you think there might be merit, when the dust has settled on all this, in the interest of your campaign as well, and for the future, for there to be for the Currie Cup to run at the same time as URC?
Spot on, Steve. I was one of those barroom barristers or barrackers, or whatever you call them, who because I'm so nostalgic about the Currie Cup, saw the complete sense in the move to June, July, August, because often there's rugby all we got in the heartland of rugby months, winter months, where we all grew up watching rugby and enjoying it. Is with the rugby championship, you've only got games in the afternoon. A couple of the South African home games. The rest are played in Argentina at midnight, or in New Zealand and Australia in the morning. So it's, I don't know, what's it, 3 games? So in those months, for the broadcaster, for the people who love rugby, the prestige of the Currie Cup made a lot of sense. But I've completely changed my view to what you're saying, because we don't get guys, the squad start stratifying and playing and versus non-playing. We can play as many friendlies as we like against Griquas or against Stellenbosch or UCT or SV Adia. It's not the same. It's much better for the squad depth, for rotation, because we drag Gary Porter out of 8 weeks rest to play against Ospreys. You're setting him up to fail. He could have played a Currie Cup game the week before. So my feeling is strongly, and then you can make the June-July period your 8-week concurrent resting period, and then the whole thing ties up. So the only downside is you don't get the hot days in your holiday like we used to have when we had December, if we could go to Stillby or whatever. But that would make the most sense now, unfortunately. But I think that, sorry, it's a long answer, but I've changed my mind to thinking for the development of South African rugby depth and the players' well-being, it's best to go back to where it was last year.
Thank you very much, guys. Good luck.
Thanks, Steve.
Cool, thanks, Steve. We've got Gavin, then Justin, and then Nathan. Yes, Gavin.
How's it? Dobbo, just as a matter of, this intrigues me because I spent a bit of time in Scotland. My wife's Scottish. I haven't been to Glasgow for a while, and I did watch a World Cup pool game, if I remember correctly, there in 1999. But what I know about Glasgow, it's very much a sort of a round ball city. Just asking you, like, how different it is to be in a place like that. I mean, if the game was being played in Cape Town, it would be like, that old sports writing cliche, all roads lead to Cape Town Stadium. I'm sure it's very different in Glasgow. Does that take a little bit of the sort of pressure off? You must sort of, you're not, what I'm trying to say is you're not like in the sort of goldfish bowl you would be if you're in a hotel in South Africa, even if you're in Pretoria before a game against the Bulls.
You spot on. I mean, Brocky can maybe talk a bit more about Glasgow's rugby culture, but it does. We haven't said to anybody. We've been, taking a couple of walks. Nobody said good luck for knows really what's going on. I mean, I'm sure Scotstoun will be full, but it is nice to be in this position. It wouldn't be the same even in Munster, would it? Which is a massive rugby town. It is nice. It's actually nice. We feel like we're excited in this little cocoon. I don't know, what do you feel about Glasgow?
Yeah, 100%. I think rugby isn't the biggest sport here, so we literally in a little bubble. So and it suits us.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks,
Dobbo, sorry, just whilst I'm on, sorry. I know you can't. I mean, obviously, like normally concussions are just a week or 2 weeks. How long will? I mean, do you have any idea how long? Assuming you play next week.
One of the issues, Gav, it happened just before we flew, and so we didn't fly him. They say with a head, we had it with Dan Duke when we flew to Connacht a couple of years ago. He flew on a knock. It makes it much worse. And then, we didn't fly him. Then he was a bit symptomatic, and then it started getting late in the week. Well, the point I'm making, it's a very light concussion. I mean, could we have flown him here tonight and get him here? It just wasn't right for the group. The group needed to get ready. It's a very light concussion. I've got no doubt if we're playing next week, which hopefully we will be, he'll be in the mix. So.
Okay, thanks.
Nice one. Yes, Justin.
Thanks, Mike. How's it, Double? How's Brocky? Double, for you quickly, when you travel away for a string of matches in the regular round-robin stage of the competition, there's one way of preparing it. This time around, it's potentially knockout rugby all the way through to a possible final and winning a final. Do you change your approach in any way when doing all of that, when preparing?
No, I mean, we probably taper a little bit, and that's probably was forced. Yeah, we would be tapering from a sort of training load point of view anyway for playoff, but also helped by the fact that we sort of flew over 3 days. So we've tapered quite a lot in training, but the approach in terms of how we want to play the game, I think there's some areas that we want to be better at. But like we say in this team, we are who we are. We just got to make sure we can impose our game plan. But no, we're not changing. There's no sort of thing like we're just changing everything to a territory-based game or a possession-based game. No, I think that will cause insecurity amongst the players. So we're going like we are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, to finish, we've got Nathan. Yes, Nathan.
Thank you again. Double, just got one final question. Munster, I just wanted to get back. Last year, Munster, from the quarterfinal to the grand final, they've won every single game. Does this, in a way, is this the same like situation for you guys? Do you feel like it's the same scenario?
Brocky, I think, came up with the term with somebody. It's Reino Grondpad. And we've packed. I mean, we'd like nothing more than to get to Thurman Park and Munster next week. We have talked about it. And honestly, Nathan, I'd like it to be much more than 1 week, but this is a good thing for us, and not in terms of the revenue in the stadium sales. We've won 5 of our 6 last away games, if you include the game in Northampton. What we said at the start of the season, there were 2 objectives for us as a squad, because don't forget, we're a big project. We're not, we're only URC in our first year, and that we all know that, but we want to become a properly established team that can compete deep into Europe and all that. And that was a 3 to 5 year plan, and obviously the equity deal was a big part of it. But there were 2 things that needed that were really important to us: was winning away. We were sort of seeing a change there, and we're getting confidence. So this is a good experience in a away playoff. And the second thing was our squad depth. And then I was fooling around with Mike this morning, saying, I'll give you a team that could play us that's not in the 23. I could get who's contracted next year or even this year. Steve Sakitsov, Lizo, Skara, JJ, Sazi, Gary Porter, Schikkelings next year, Dion Ferry, Evan Ruiz, Keke Marabi, goes 9, Steph Ungrad, Yuri Matia, Damien Willemse, Ron Nel, Sebela Sadatla, Lewins, us, Clayton Lomakis. That we've got those guys not available, not playing, some of us choice, some are injured, shows that we are growing in terms of a squad, because that squad against that team against our current team would be worth the ticket price. So in that point of view, we've ticked those sort of boxes of growth. They're just really important that the only one of these away playoffs is not tomorrow's. Probably your question started with, you know, we'd like 2 or 3.
Nice one, guys. But don't forget, if Ospreys win tonight and we win tomorrow, we Cape Town Stadium next week. Yeah?
See you there, my boys. Thanks.
All right, we'll get you tomorrow. Thanks, Dobbo.
Cheers. Thanks
Cheers,
a lot.
guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers.
Very late.